In life, we are often taught that strength means persistence, to hold on endlessly, endure discomfort without question, and never quit regardless of circumstance. From childhood stories to modern motivational culture, endurance is praised as the highest virtue, while withdrawal is quietly associated with failure or weakness. Yet history, psychology, and philosophy reveal a quieter and far more sophisticated truth. Wisdom is not only knowing when to fight, but knowing when a battle no longer serves your purpose or aligns with your future. Strategic abandonment is not surrender, nor is it an escape from responsibility. It is intelligent self-preservation guided by awareness and foresight. It requires the discipline to release what drains power so that energy may be redirected toward what truly matters. Many people exhaust themselves defending situations that no longer contribute to growth simply because stopping feels uncomfortable. But life operates on limited emotional and mental resources. Every commitment consumes attention, identity, and time. To abandon strategically is therefore an act of conscious prioritization, a decision to invest life where it can multiply rather than diminish. True strength lies not in endless endurance, but in deliberate choice. Machiavellian thinking challenges sentimental morality by asking a simple yet deeply uncomfortable question. Does this situation increase or diminish your power over your own life? People often remain trapped in failing relationships, stagnant ambitions, or hostile environments because pride whispers that leaving equals defeat, fear warns of uncertainty, and emotional attachment disguises itself as loyalty. They confuse endurance with virtue and sacrifice with moral superiority. However, strategy demands clarity over emotion. A clear-thinking individual evaluates outcomes rather than intentions, patterns rather than promises. Attachment, while human and natural, can slowly transform into a chain disguised as devotion. Many individuals remain loyal not because the situation deserves loyalty, but because abandoning it would force them to confront change. Strategic thinkers understand that loyalty without reciprocity becomes self-erosion. They recognize that emotional investment must be balanced with rational evaluation. Remaining somewhere simply because one has always remained, there is not strength. It is inertia. When decisions are guided by purpose rather than sentiment, one begins to see that walking away is sometimes the most rational and self-respecting move available. Psychologically, humans resist walking away because of what behavioral economists describe as the sunk cost fallacy, a mental bias that convinces us past investment must justify continued commitment. The more time, emotion, reputation, or effort invested into something, the harder it becomes to leave it behind. People fear that abandonment invalidates their struggle, as though walking away erases the meaning of what came before. In reality, refusing to abandon a failing path compounds loss rather than preserving value. Time already spent cannot be recovered, but future time remains negotiable. Strategic thinkers shift perspective entirely. They do not ask, "How much have I invested?" but instead, "What future does this investment realistically create?" This subtle shift transforms decision-making. Rather than protecting the past, they protect potential. Many individuals unknowingly imprison themselves inside outdated commitments because admitting misjudgment feels painful. Yet growth often requires acknowledging that wisdom evolves. The courage to redirect effort is not an admission of failure, but proof of learning. Strategic abandonment reframes experience as education rather than waste, allowing individuals to reclaim agency over their direction instead of remaining loyal to a decision that no longer serves them. To walk away requires emotional maturity because human emotions naturally resist disengagement. Anger demands revenge, pride demands victory, and fear demands certainty before movement. Wisdom, however, seeks positioning rather than emotional satisfaction. A person ruled by emotion stays to prove a point, to win an argument, or to validate their identity through struggle. A person ruled by strategy leaves to protect their future stability and psychological energy. Walking away is therefore less about defeat and more about refusing to participate in a game designed for your loss. Emotional maturity allows one to separate personal worth from temporary outcomes. Many conflicts persist, not because solutions are impossible, but because participants are emotionally invested in being right. Strategic abandonment interrupts this cycle. It replaces reaction with intention. The individual learns that preserving peace, focus, and long-term advantage matters more than short-term emotional triumph. True control emerges when one no longer needs resolution from every conflict. In this sense, departure becomes an act of self-command, the ability to choose direction rather than being dragged by emotional momentum. Power, as Machiavelli understood, is not constant confrontation but controlled movement guided by selectivity and awareness of limits. Lions do not chase every animal they see. Generals do not fight every skirmish placed before them. Energy, mental, emotional, and physical, is finite. When individuals attempt to engage everywhere, argue with everyone, or fix every problem, they dilute effectiveness across all areas of life. Strategic abandonment allows focus, and focus multiplies effectiveness. The strongest individuals are not those who engage most frequently, but those who choose engagements carefully. They conserve strength for moments that truly matter. Modern life encourages constant reaction through social pressures, digital conversations, and endless demands for attention. Without strategic withdrawal, individuals become fragmented, exhausted, and reactive rather than intentional. Abandonment, in this context, becomes an act of resource management. By stepping away from unnecessary battles, one preserves clarity for meaningful pursuits. Power grows not from activity alone, but from directed activity. Selective disengagement sharpens influence because attention becomes deliberate rather than scattered. There is also profound dignity in departure, though society rarely acknowledges it openly. Many people remain in situations that quietly erode their identity, workplaces that undervalue their contribution, friendships sustained only by imbalance, or ambitions that no longer align with who they are becoming. Staying too long reshapes self-perception. Over time, individuals begin to internalize exhaustion as normal and undervaluation as deserved. The longer one remains in such environments, the more self-respect erodes subtly and silently. Walking away restores psychological boundaries and reaffirms personal worth. It communicates internally, even more than externally, that one's time and presence have value. Departure is not rejection of others, but recognition of self. When individuals leave environments that diminish them, they create space for renewal and rediscovery. Dignity arises from alignment, living in accordance with evolving values rather than outdated obligations. Strategic abandonment, therefore, becomes an act of identity protection. It preserves the integrity of the self by refusing to remain where growth, respect, and authenticity can no longer coexist. Philosophically, abandonment reflects a deep acceptance of impermanence, one of the most enduring truths across human history. Everything changes, alliances shift, goals evolve, opportunities rise and disappear, and even personal identity transforms over time. Yet human beings instinctively cling to stability, attempting to preserve moments long after their relevance has passed. This resistance creates suffering, not because change itself is painful, but because expectation collides with reality. Strategic abandonment becomes an act of alignment with the natural rhythm of existence rather than resistance against it. To release what has expired is to acknowledge that growth requires motion. Many individuals hold on to past versions of life because familiarity provides emotional comfort, even when that comfort quietly limits development. Philosophical maturity recognizes that permanence is an illusion constructed by fear. Letting go does not erase meaning. It honors the role something once played while accepting that its purpose has concluded. In this way, abandonment becomes less about loss and more about evolution, an intentional step forward that respects both the past and the necessity of change. One of the most misunderstood truths is that withdrawal can be a powerful form of control. Society often equates control with dominance, argument, or visible victory, yet influence frequently grows stronger through absence rather than confrontation. When you refuse engagement, you deny others access to your emotional energy and psychological reactions. Silence can disarm conflict more effectively than prolonged debate because it removes the fuel required for escalation. Distance, whether emotional or physical, communicates boundaries without explanation. Many conflicts persist because individuals continue participating long after resolution becomes impossible. Strategic withdrawal interrupts this cycle. By stepping away, you reshape the dynamic entirely, forcing circumstances to adjust rather than allowing yourself to be shaped by them. This form of control is subtle yet profound. It protects inner stability while maintaining dignity. Choosing not to respond is sometimes the most decisive response available. Withdrawal demonstrates independence from external validation, showing that peace and self-command matter more than proving superiority in temporary disputes. Many people remain where they are because uncertainty feels more frightening than dissatisfaction. The known misery becomes predictable, and predictability creates an illusion of safety. Even when circumstances drain joy or progress, familiarity reduces anxiety because outcomes are expected. The unknown, however, demands courage. It offers possibility without guarantees. Growth lives beyond familiarity. Yet the human mind often prioritizes security over expansion. Strategic abandonment challenges this instinct by reframing uncertainty as opportunity rather than danger. Every meaningful transformation in life, new careers, healthier relationships, personal reinvention, requires leaving behind an outdated version of existence. Remaining in stagnation preserves comfort but sacrifices potential. When individuals walk away from what no longer serves them, they step into a space where reinvention becomes possible. This transition period may feel unstable, but instability is often the birthplace of creativity and renewal. Strategic abandonment is therefore not loss, but transition, the deliberate exchange of predictable limitation for uncertain possibility, trusting that growth requires stepping beyond the boundaries of familiarity. Timing defines the true art behind abandonment. Leaving too early may waste unrealized potential, while leaving too late risks erosion of identity and opportunity. The strategic mind learns to observe patterns rather than promises. Words can inspire hope, intentions may appear sincere, but patterns reveal the underlying truth of any situation. Consistent behavior exposes whether progress is genuinely possible or merely imagined. Many individuals delay departure because they wait for perfect certainty, yet certainty rarely arrives in human affairs. Strategy instead relies on accumulated evidence. When patterns consistently drain progress, diminish peace, or repeat cycles of disappointment, the moment to walk away quietly emerges. Timing requires emotional discipline, the ability to separate temporary difficulty from structural decline. Strategic thinkers recognize that endurance is valuable only when movement forward remains possible. When effort repeatedly produces stagnation, persistence becomes self-destruction. To leave at the right moment is an expression of awareness, demonstrating that wisdom lies not in endless patience, but in recognizing when continuation no longer serves purpose. Another powerful psychological barrier to walking away is ego. People remain in conflicts, relationships, or ambitions simply to avoid appearing weak in the eyes of others. Pride convinces individuals that endurance proves superiority, even when continuation produces suffering. Yet true confidence does not depend on public victory, it rests on internal certainty. The secure individual understands that reputation is shaped over years through consistency and character, not through stubborn resistance in isolated moments. Ego seeks validation through confrontation, while wisdom seeks preservation through discernment. Many battles persist solely because neither side wishes to appear as the one who left first. Strategic abandonment dissolves this illusion by recognizing that self-respect matters more than external perception. Walking away requires humility, the willingness to accept that not every struggle deserves completion. Ironically, those who abandon wisely often appear stronger over time because they demonstrate independence from social pressure. Confidence grows when decisions are guided by long-term well-being rather than immediate approval. Strategic abandonment also protects mental clarity, a resource often underestimated yet essential for creativity, decision-making, and emotional balance. Constant struggle narrows perception, trapping the mind in survival mode where imagination and insight cannot flourish. When individuals remain entangled in toxic dynamics or unproductive battles, cognitive energy becomes consumed by stress and reaction. Over time, this mental congestion prevents new ideas from emerging. Stepping away creates psychological distance, and distance restores perspective. Problems that once appeared overwhelming often shrink once emotional intensity subsides. Cognitive space allows reflection, innovation, and renewed motivation. Many breakthroughs occur only after disengagement because the mind finally regains freedom to think expansively rather than defensively. Strategic abandonment therefore functions as mental renewal. It clears internal noise, allowing intuition and reason to operate together again. By removing oneself from draining environments, clarity returns naturally, revealing solutions and opportunities that were previously invisible within the chaos of constant engagement. History repeatedly demonstrates that survival favors adaptability rather than stubbornness. Civilizations, empires, and leaders who refused to retreat when circumstances demanded adjustment often collapsed under the weight of their own rigidity. Those who endured were not always the strongest in raw power, but the most flexible in strategy. Walking away, in this sense, becomes a maneuver rather than a defeat, a repositioning designed to preserve strength for a more advantageous moment. Military strategy has long recognized retreat as a calculated act, allowing forces to regroup, reassess, and return under improved conditions. The same principle applies to personal life. Strategic abandonment creates distance from losing positions so that future opportunities remain possible. Many individuals fail because they confuse persistence with wisdom, continuing down paths long after conditions have changed. Adaptability requires humility, the willingness to acknowledge shifting realities. Retreat does not erase ambition, it protects it. By stepping back at the right time, individuals conserve resources, regain perspective, and prepare for future engagement from a position of renewed strength rather than exhausted resistance. There is particular courage required in letting go of identities tied to past success. Many people cling to roles, titles, or ambitions because those identities once provided meaning, recognition, or security. The difficulty lies not in abandoning the activity itself, but in releasing the version of oneself associated with it. Success can become a psychological anchor, preventing evolution because individuals fear becoming unknown again. Yet growth demands transformation, and transformation often feels like loss before it feels like progress. Strategic abandonment recognizes that identity must remain fluid to accommodate development. What once defined you may no longer represent who you are becoming. Holding on to outdated roles creates internal conflict, as personal growth pulls forward while attachment pulls backward. The willingness to abandon a former self reflects deep self-awareness and courage. It acknowledges that identity is not fixed but continuously shaped by experience. Letting go of past definitions allows new capabilities, perspectives, and opportunities to emerge, ensuring that growth continues rather than stagnates beneath nostalgia. Emotionally intelligent individuals develop sensitivity to diminishing returns. The gradual realization that effort no longer produces proportional reward. At first, persistence may generate progress, learning, or satisfaction, but over time, the same investment may yield less peace, less growth, and less meaning. Many ignore these signals because perseverance has been culturally glorified without nuance. However, persistence without evaluation becomes self-sabotage. Strategic abandonment shifts the central question from "how do I fix this?" to "is this worth fixing at all?" This reframing introduces objectivity into emotionally charged situations. Not everything broken deserves repair, and not every struggle leads to transformation. Some systems, relationships, or ambitions are fundamentally misaligned. Recognizing diminishing returns requires honesty and emotional detachment, the ability to observe outcomes without clinging to hope alone. When individuals redirect effort toward environments capable of growth, energy begins producing results again. Strategic abandonment therefore restores efficiency, ensuring that effort serves meaningful progress rather than sustaining cycles of frustration and exhaustion. Walking away also reveals a profound level of self-trust. Leaving without guarantees demands belief in one's capacity to rebuild, adapt, and create stability independently of familiar structures. Many remain in unsatisfying circumstances not because they believe the situation is good, but because they doubt their ability to thrive elsewhere. Strategic abandonment challenges this fear directly. It shifts reliance from external certainty to internal capability. This psychological transition is transformative. Instead of depending on circumstances for security, individuals begin trusting their resilience and resourcefulness. Each successful departure strengthens confidence, reinforcing the understanding that identity and competence travel with you wherever you go. Uncertainty becomes less threatening because adaptability becomes proven rather than imagined. Walking away thus becomes an affirmation of personal agency, a declaration that stability is not found in environments, but within one's ability to navigate change. Self-trust grows through action, and strategic abandonment often marks the moment when individuals choose faith in their own potential over attachment to familiar limitation. Ironically, abandonment often increases respect rather than diminishing it. People tend to value what cannot be endlessly controlled, manipulated, or taken for granted. When individuals remain indefinitely available despite imbalance or disrespect, others may unconsciously devalue their presence. Boundaries communicate self-worth more effectively than words ever could. The willingness to leave signals independence, confidence, and clarity of standards. Strategic abandonment reshapes social dynamics because it introduces consequence where there was previously tolerance. Others begin to reassess behavior when access is no longer guaranteed. This does not mean walking away to provoke reaction, but rather understanding that self-respect naturally influences perception. Individuals who demonstrate the courage to disengage from unhealthy situations often gain long-term admiration, even from those who initially resisted their departure. Respect grows from consistency between values and action. By leaving environments that undermine dignity, individuals redefine how they are treated moving forward, reinforcing healthier interactions built on mutual recognition rather than obligation. Ultimately, the art of strategic abandonment is the art of choosing destiny over attachment. Life does not reward those who hold on to everything indiscriminately. It rewards those who discern what truly deserves their presence, energy, and commitment. Every decision to walk away creates space for clarity, renewal, opportunity, and intentional beginnings. Endings are not merely closures, but transitions that prepare the ground for future growth. The wise understand that conservation of strength is essential for meaningful achievement. They abandon not out of frustration or impulsiveness, but with vision and foresight. Strategic abandonment reflects mastery over impulse, ego, and fear, replacing reactive persistence with deliberate direction. To know when to walk away is to accept responsibility for shaping one's path, rather than being shaped by circumstance. Every departure becomes an act of authorship over one's life story. The strongest individuals are not those who refuse to leave, but those who recognize that walking away at the right moment preserves the power needed to pursue battles worthy of their future. This is the Golden Circle Philosophy channel. Like the video, share it with a friend, and subscribe for more videos like this one. Thank you for watching.